Welcome to WrestleWolf. This is Reconsidering WCW Nitro. I'm Dr. Damien Gibson, the doctorate is in wrestling. And joining me, as always, is the man who only deals in kayfabe because it's the family business. It's Matthew Kayfabe.
I can't wait till you're on a plane and someone's like, is there a doctor here? And you're like, yes, but...
Yeah, is it wrestling related? Are you still upset about the way Daniel Bryan was booked in 2000? I can never remember years. You know, it's like some people can just be like, they remember certain runs of wrestlers of like, oh, that was the summer of Punk in 2012 or whatever. I can never remember what year is what.
If you revived someone from death by sharing your gripes about WWE booking from the past, I would be really impressed with you, just so you know.
But would it be that the person on the plane is having a injury because of a gripe that they have with WWE booking, or is it because and I like fix them by going, hey, it's not too bad. Remember, you know, like Daniel Bryan was world champion for a period of time, blah blah blah. Or is it like, do I just give prescriptions of negativity about WWE to people?
Yeah, I mean, maybe you should like prescribe them a little bit of happiness instead. Maybe you should be like, hey,
right,
don't worry about it. Like, you know,
Kenny Omega's on 2 shows. You should watch that instead.
Yeah, and then as they come out from their enormous heart attack, they're like, it was really that doctor. He had unique methods, but he saved my life.
Gets the job done. It gets the job done.
God,
you don't want to die yet. Daniel Bryan's on his last run in WWE.
You are deeply, deeply irresponsible, and your methods are so inappropriate. I just want that to be clear.
Yeah, but so were House's. You know?
That's true. You sort of are the Dr. House of wrestling doctors.
I am. I've got a severe addiction to prescription medication. Love playing jazz piano. And used to be in a double act with Stephen Fry.
I never watched House, so a lot of that was gibberish to me, but I get the reference due to the fact that you explicitly stated it beforehand.
The great thing for Hugh Laurie in House was that because really no Americans knew anything about him, he could really just be him with an American accent. He literally was like playing jazz piano. Like a lot of the things that he did on Fry and Laurie and stuff, he just did again in America, just with an American accent.
Who's the British comedian that you would most like to see have a professional wrestling run?
Oh, did you say British comedian? Does it
Yes.
have to be British?
Well, I'm willing to accept other people, but I would prefer it to be British, yes.
Okay. I think this is the first thing that came to mind, right? So I'm not necessarily saying this is my favorite British comedian or anything, but I think I actually think as a stable, Ricky Gervais, Stephen Merchant, and Carl Pilkington could be pretty great. And I think Ricky Gervais could be a really, really good heel.
So my first thought as well was Ricky Gervais because he's such an unpleasant person. Like I agree with almost all his views, but every time he expresses them, I'm like, man, why do you have to behave like that? Like it's just so unnecessary to be such a dickhead all the time.
Yeah, I don't know. Noel Fielding could be kind of interesting, like a Orange Cassidy type, like a cross between Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin, maybe.
Noel from On the Buses.
Noel Fielding. Sorry, Noel from where?
On the Buses.
Oh, we're going that far back.
I mean, I made up Noel. I don't know this name. Blakey. Blakey is his
Blakey.
name.
All right, you lot. All right, you lot. You should have gone home 2 minutes ago. Man. Well, yeah, no. I can't think. But now I'm blanking. I'm completely blanking. So we should probably move on. But I think the Ricky Gervais podcast as a heel stable. I mean, the Stephen Merchant looks weird. You know. I mean, he really does. I mean,
this is like the number one podcast in the world, and you've decided to begin by attacking one of the host's physical appearances. So we're good. We're good.
Well, I mean, that's how that podcast became famous, was the three of them teasing each other about the way that they looked. That's essentially the whole podcast.
So, guys, if the act is getting stale, Damo's willing to come on and tease you about how you look.
100%. You're saying that Stephen Merchant is a regular-looking human being. If he was in a lineup, how difficult do you think it would be to find a lineup of 5 Stephen Merchants?
He looks like beige and pastel to me.
Okay. Anyway, that would be my pick. I can't think of maybe the 2 Ronnies as a tag team.
Oh. Okay, now you're making sense to me.
I'm actually quite pleased with my own suggestion there.
Yeah. No, that's very, very good.
And their finishing move could be "It's good night" from him.
I mean, Dawn French obviously would probably be like a very different and interesting figure. We need to move on from
French and Saunders would be awesome as a female tag team, and then they turn on each other.
Oh yeah, that'd be pretty good.
Because they're like best mates. They've been best mates for 40 years. I mean, you'd never see it coming.
Joanna Lumley as a manager, and same with Jimmy Carr. Jimmy Carr would be better than Jimmy Carr would be
great. Jimmy Carr would be a great GM. Just slapping down every wrestler who came and asked him for a match.
And then one day got put through a table. Like, it'd be great.
Oh, 100%. 100%. He'd be great. Jimmy Carr would genuinely be fantastic at wrestling.
Book it. Make it happen.
I'm sure
Doctor.
Jimmy Carr is really cheap. Yeah, we should probably talk about the show. We're literally at 6 minutes. We have not spoken about Nitro at all yet. This match came from Canton, Ohio, which they were saying is the birthplace of gridiron or football for Americans. I don't know anything about the how gridiron started.
No, I absolutely do not. I would have said it's the birthplace of the Extreme Wrestling organization, owned by Vince Carrington.
Oh, well,
established.
I don't know.
It's sort of a well-known. It was established in 2015 and folded in 2016. There is no other information about it online.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that where Dean Ambrose came from or something? How do you know about that?
Because on Pro Wrestling Fandom, I clicked Canton, Ohio,
because
I was like, I've never heard of this place. Anyway, there has been a total of 9 shows from WWF, NWA, or WCW there. Most of them house shows. They got they got this Nitro, and they got a WCW Saturday night.
Hello.
In a few months. Then no one is ever coming back to Canton, Ohio again. Seriously. October 5th, 1996, then it's gone. It's done. It's over.
Oh, that's a shame. Well, we start off at the commentary desk like we always do. Eric's in his Planet Hollywood jacket again. This is the second time in 3 weeks. Mongo and Bobby are dressed like Biff from Back to the Future 1. And Pepe's dressed up as Dracula. It's January, right? Halloween's in the end of October.
Yeah, because the point of Halloween is you're right. You're totally right. It's vampires eat once a year. Did you not watch Buffy?
I actually did.
Yeah,
of course I watch Buffy. I mean, I'm a wrestling fan.
Halloween is vampires' quiet day.
Oh,
yeah.
That makes no sense whatsoever. Why is it their quiet day?
Because I believe in Buffy's case, even though something always happened, there was always the Halloween episode. Magical things don't like Halloween because it's a bit like making fun of them, and they're like very personally sensitive. I don't know.
Okay,
it was the thing. It was like I'm sure there was a better. Like I trust that there was a slightly better explanation, but I'm pretty sure that was along the lines of it.
I'm sure Willow explained it better than that, but Yeah.
I mean, if you listen to... I mean, we're up to episode 7 on WrestleWolf Presents Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
It's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time once the Billy Joel podcast gets off the ground.
As we slowly do a podcast for absolutely everything we've ever enjoyed.
Fitzroy Football Club will get one from 1991 to 1996.
That would be fantastic. Or maybe it wouldn't be fantastic.
No, I think it'd be really awful for the two of us to do that podcast. That would be not fun at all. Almost like doing this WCW podcast.
It would be. It'd be like, the AFL have the wrong narrative about Fitzroy, which is true.
Yeah, no, but I don't think anyone from the AFL would even lie about that now.
No,
they just sit back and be like, yeah, and we got away with it, you fucking idiots. Anyway, don't watch the AFL, they're evil.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair. Pretty decent opening match for Nitro. Hulk
Hogan with literally every woman almost on the WCW. Why has this happened? This happens again later. Deborah McMichael, Hulk Hogan's wife, Linda, Miss Elizabeth, and woman are all accompanying Hulk Hogan to the ring.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. Like,
when did Hulk Hogan become like a bit of a chick magnet?
Yeah, I don't know. In the last couple of weeks, supposedly,
as he really, circled into his 40s as an orange, bald, bleached-haired, roided up freak, women really found Hulk Hogan at this point.
Yeah, it's weird to think that anyone would be looking at Hulk Hogan and going,
He is a physically disgusting looking man. Like, he's very unattractive.
Yeah. Yeah. Like definitely. Definitely so. I can kind of see maybe girls being into macho, maybe, sort of.
Probably not at this point.
No.
Let's, tweet us in if you find Hulk Hogan attractive.
Now.
At WrestleWolf.
Yeah. Ric Flair gets the win in this with a poke in the eye from Miss Elizabeth's high heel. And it looks like... God, I have to say some dumb shit in this podcast. And then it looks like Hulk Hogan is out, like is seriously injured. But that will come back into play later on in the episode. This was a half decent match. It's not. I'm not getting the Ric Flair Hulk Hogan matches that I want. Like, this feels like it should be kept for a special occasion. It feels like a really good bottle of scotch that you like best mate keeps having swigs out of just like on a Thursday night. Like, can we just save that for a special occasion?
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's Monday night, we better have some of that scotch. Rather than, like, it is, when you say it's half good, I mean it is Ric Flair versus Hulk Hogan, so it is literally half good. But it is, like, it's enjoyable enough, but like far out, this should be a much bigger match.
It just kind of, I don't know, it just feels like a everyday match, and it shouldn't. Like when I was watching it, I was like, oh, Ric Flair versus Hulk Hogan, holy shit. And by the time it's finished, I didn't feel like I just witnessed two of the greatest of all time having a match together. It was like, oh, this is a stupid storyline moment about a high heel.
Yeah, that was, yeah.
Why does it have to be against Ric Flair for that to happen? They could have been against anyone.
This is also, the high heel is now a reoccurring Nitro deadly weapon. Like, I sort of see it, but it's a bit lame.
Yeah. I mean, if it's being chucked into your eye, then yeah. But still. Next up, we got Faces of Fear. So Meng's not having to wear that stupid capered mask anymore. And is in a tag team versus the Legion of Doom. Have I got that right? I've got that right.
Yeah,
Legion of Doom, right?
They're
those.
the Road Warriors in WCW.
Yeah, I just completely second guessed myself then when I was reading my notes, where I was like, "That's what they're called." Yeah. Anyway, Eric tells Vince to get a job in a pizza parlor. Give up, buddy. It's done. Get a job in a pizza parlor, referring to the ratings. There's two kinds of music that Bobby doesn't like, and they're country and western, which is a joke that he's stolen from the Blues Brothers. And Legion of Doom get the win in a really sort of non-plussed way. Like the crowd were really into Legion of Doom. Was there anything that you noticed about this match that was?
I didn't particularly enjoy this match, but look, it was fine. Like the Legion of Doom, or the Road Warriors, sorry, are pretty over.
Yeah, the crowd are loving every minute of it. Sorry, I'm just like, we'll keep recording. I'll cut this out, but my volume keeps dropping back to 50 when it should be at 75. That's why I'm a bit distracted. I don't know why it's doing that. It's really fucking annoying because it's just gone back up again. It's bouncing around all over the place.
That's weird.
It just did it again. Why is it doing it automatically? Can I stop that from happening? Oh, now it's back up to 70. Oh, and there's the bandsaw. Anyway, next up we've got an interview with the Taskmaster. This is really confusing, this promo. The Taskmaster is out speaking to Mean Gene. He's got Hugh Morris with him. That's Hugh Morris that was out there with him, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
And the Taskmaster is still bitching about Brian Pillman, even though there hasn't really been a huge amount of interaction between the Taskmaster and Pillman in the last couple of weeks, and saying that Arn Anderson needs to keep him in check. Anderson and Pillman come to the ring. Anderson is literally going to give Brian Pillman what he calls tough love and takes his belt off. But then the Taskmaster gets in the way of that. Then Brian Pillman escapes out of the ring. The Taskmaster now has Arn's belt and starts whipping Brian Pillman with Arn's belt. What's going on here, man?
I mean, you just explained it perfectly. It's just perfect logic. This makes no sense. And can I say, as a kid, watching Nitro around this time, I hated Hugh Morris. Like, he had the worst kind of heat with me personally. Like, I was annoyed by him. I hated his gimmick. I hated him in the ring. I hated the way he looked. I just, like, if he was on screen, I was distracted to the point of annoyance as a 7-year-old little Mark.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he doesn't do anything in this promo.
No, well, everyone else is too busy behaving completely illogically.
But essentially a war has started now between Dungeon of Doom and the Four Horsemen, right?
Yes. Who's going to defeat Brian Pillman with Arn Anderson's belt?
Yeah.
This is a belt on a pole match waiting to happen.
It's bizarre, and it's even more bizarre considering what happens later in the episode, but we'll get to that in a second. We've got a women's match here. I suppose you could call it a match. Sister Sherry is out in the ring, about to be interviewed by Mean Gene. At Clash of Champions the week before, there was a very, very thin storyline of Medusa, who was having an affair with the Colonel, we think. But that was never really clarified, but we're pretty sure that's what the storyline's meant to be.
We think.
And Sherry was engaged to the Colonel, so now they're fighting over the fact of both, because, like, rather than both being angry with the Colonel, they're angry with each other, even though it's the Colonel who's the arsehole in this situation. And the two of them didn't know about each other. But Medusa would know about Sherry, right? Because
she watches the show.
She watches Nitro. So Medusa is the bad guy here.
a few weeks before, like, the mishandling of Medusa is unacceptable. Like, look, no one was booking. This is 20 years before the women's revolution and all that kind of stuff in wrestling. But Sherry Martel is one of the all-time great talents in wrestling, one of the greatest women wrestlers of all time. And at this point, Medusa, as far as American female wrestlers, is the best. And, she threw the WWF women's title in a bin. It's a huge deal. It's an iconic moment. And now she's never going to have an iconic moment again.
No. The other thing that happens here is that Sherry gets the win, which even more makes me think, well, she's the face, right? I know you're going to go, oh, look, Doctor, it's not as simple as that. Kayfabe isn't always black and white. But I feel like in WCW in 1995, it is. And this makes no sense to me whatsoever. And if I'm meant to be rooting, as our American cousins would say, in a completely different way than we would here in Australia for Medusa, well, I'm not.
Harsh critique by an angry fan.
I'm not, though. I'm on Sherry's side. She didn't know anything about the affair. She was happy to get married. Her wedding got ruined. And then she was in the ring this week and got attacked from behind.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm also on Sherry's side.
Yeah, how could you not be? Anyway, it's a bizarre storyline that makes no sense. And then after Sherry gets the win, Medusa literally beats the crap out of Sherry, slamming her head into the mat over and over again to a point where I was like, okay, that's probably enough.
Yep. There is certain things about 90s wrestling that are very, very uncomfortable, and the absolute disregard for people's heads is, probably chief amongst them.
Yeah, man, 100%.
Can I just quickly say, when I said that Medusa would never have another highlight again, I'm technically wrong, because after WCW folded, she became like a monster truck driver. Seriously,
she did.
That's sick.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Really sick.
I just want to apologize to Medusa.
No, she's kick-ass. She's a kick-ass lady. Next up, we've got the Giant versus Macho Man for the belt. This match is over within 3 seconds. The Macho Man...
the official time for this match is 28 seconds.
It was less than that.
It certainly was. This was almost like what it took to count the pin.
So all the lovely ladies are coming out again with Macho Man, including his ex-wife Elizabeth
and Hulk Hogan's current wife.
What?
Linda Belair is the blonde woman that not Deborah McMichael.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Linda. It's Hulk Hogan's wife.
Oh, I didn't notice her there.
It's Mongo McMichael's wife. Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage are walking out with Mongo McMichael, the commentator's wife, Hulk Hogan's wife, Randy Savage's ex-wife and Lex Luger's current girlfriend, and Kevin Sullivan's wife. It's exceptionally strange. I know I'm not someone that's going to step away from kayfabe very often, but if you do apply any kind of non-kayfabe lens onto this, something fucking weird's happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like over history. It was always, wives tended to get involved quite a bit in that sort of
but not
way,
other
so
people's unrelated wives.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it was a way to. I don't know.
Woman is about
maybe it was
to
a
be
way
involved.
to cut costs.
Woman is about to be involved in probably what is going to be the most uncomfortable storyline we'll ever have to talk about. But also was on screen with Kevin Sullivan for years and years and years as Fallen Angel.
There are, not to be too serious, but I mean there was a lot of talk about people just mooching off Ted's checkbook, and I think that's probably what's.
This is definitely some weird paydays, but Linda being it's so weird. It's so exceptionally weird. Anyway.
Yeah, no, it is. It's really strange. So the Giant wins this via DQ in 3 seconds. And then I was like, well, this is the end of the episode. And then was like, no, there's still another 6 minutes to go. So Ric Flair is out there, even though the Dungeon of Doom and Four Horsemen have just declared war on each other. I don't know where Rick was, but he obviously wasn't paying attention because he's on side with the Giant and Jimmy Hart. The Giant and Rick beat down on Macho Man what feels like, to me, like a really long time. Finally, I thought Sting was going to come out because the way they were talking about Hulk was that he was just gone. And he does go away for a bit at some point this year, and I thought it might have been this early, but it's not. He comes out with the most ridiculous eye patch I've ever seen in my life. There's so much, like, he may have actually had a problem with his eye, but this is so performative. It's so the people in the bleachers can see that.
I love it so much.
Not the bleachers, in the rafters can see that he's got a problem with his eye. And then we were talking about head trauma. He hits every single person on the WCW roster on the head with a chair shot.
Also, Ric Flair's Gold's Gym t-shirt, like, it is now at the point where he is so obviously getting a free, like, subscription to whatever a subscription to the gym is. I don't know. Obviously, I don't know. I'm like, is it like Netflix?
Membership.
A membership,
yeah.
Whatever. I wouldn't want to be a member of a club that'd have me.
How very droll.
Whereas clearly Ric Flair is working out and is doing it for free because... Well, it's like Eric Bischoff, my guess, is not paying for meals at Planet Hollywood at this point. Like,
was Eric Bischoff one of the Planet Hollywood people? Was he?
No.
Oh. So he's just a fan of Planet Hollywood.
I would, yes. If Eric Bischoff is just a fan of Planet Hollywood, and Ric Flair is just a fan of Gold's Gym, and Hulk Hogan is just a fan of Orange County Motorcycles 221 Rodeo Drive,
we haven't heard from them in a while.
Like, this show it's not just people getting paid ridiculous, like, getting paid to appear or whatever. They are also like, hey, I have a TV show. Do you want me? I'll wear your shit on TV. I'll give you some free advertising on TNT in prime time.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, well, then the only other thing that happens in this episode is that Ric Flair runs off to the commentary desk and tries to cut a promo pretty unsuccessfully. I didn't mind this. It was kind of like, oh, chaos is reigning supreme here. The bad guys are in charge. They run the commentary boys out of town. Rick Rick goes, I'm the host of the show now. And then immediately takes his headphones off. And then realizes that no one can hear, and then goes to start cutting a promo, then realizes that no one can hear him. He puts his headphones back on.
It's beautiful.
And then Bobby the Brain covers for everyone because he's the ultimate professional. But yeah, this was, I mean, it was very WCW, like, fucking, this ending was only talked through 20 minutes before the episode, and people are making shit up on the spot. But I always, like, love these segments, in the sense of, like, I wish there was a little bit more of this in pro wrestling in 2020.
I agree. Like, and I thought we could do something just for, we don't need to, at a certain point, when it gets to, November 1998, we don't need to, God, we have so long. We don't have to do this anymore. But at this point, the ratings are flip-flopping a little bit between.
Okay.
And we're not talking about, like, when things are at their peak, we're talking about, like, they're getting just massive, 4.7s, all that kind of stuff, like crazy ratings. At this point, they're not, and I thought it might be interesting just to check in on where we're at. So last week, WWF won the ratings.
Oh, wow!
Yeah, this week it's Nitro. WWF got a 2.4 and Nitro got a 2.8. So Nitro won there.
Right.
but it is flipping back and forth, and they're quite close. And I just think it's really interesting. I think it's like
that. Do we know what's on the other channel?
Well, what was on the other channel today in January 29th, 1996. So we had for Nitro, just as a wrap up, we had Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan for 13 minutes. We had the Road Warriors. We had a WCW championship match with a giant human being versus Randy Savage. Over on the other channel, it's not actually a terrible show, but it is one I wouldn't want to watch. But we'll see what you think. First of all, just as a side note, they have the teaser vignette of Mankind in which he's not wearing a mask, and the only thing you see is his sort of fucked up ear. And then we've got Diesel defeated Davey Boy Smith. Henry Godwin and Phineas Godwin defeated Skip and Zip. And our third and final match, Shawn Michaels defeated Yokozuna.
Yeah. I'd still watch WCW over that, but that's not.
It's
at least they're utilizing some of the talent that they've got in Diesel and Davey Boy Smith and who was that last guy that you mentioned?
The Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels.
No, Yokozuna, I think, was the one that.
Well, I mean, this is 1996 Yokozuna. This is no one's. I haven't watched the match, but. Spoiler, it's not going to be good.
No, it's not. No, but I mean, if you've got Shawn Michaels, surely you would just, if you've got Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, surely you would just rotate them each week.
Well, that's certainly.
The headliner is Shawn one week and Bret is the headliner the next week. And, if you're trying to give people time off or whatever, they were pre-recording all of that stuff anyway, weren't they?
Yeah. So, I think every second episode was live.
Weird.
It is.
Why every second episode?
I don't know.
It's bizarre.
So I think they recorded 2 at a time.
Right. Well, no, I'd still be watching Nitro. This was an okay Nitro. It felt like it was kind of. I don't know, because is Clash of Champions a pay-per-view?
No, it's live on TNT.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as storyline is concerned, I mean, usually after a pay-per-view, the Nitro or Raw or whatever, straight after it sets up a whole bunch of new storylines, and I don't know if any new storylines were set up here.
I don't think it really counts. I think pretty clearly it's sort of a weird leftover thing from it's the 32nd Clash of Champions. This has been going on for some time and, is not really all that important. I will say, though, I have watched ahead in Nitro episodes and the next episode of Nitro, this episode, if you tuned in and you enjoyed the 6 minutes of whatever, until we eventually talked about wrestling for about 3.5 minutes. Next episode, we're going to be talking about wrestling. It's pretty good. Just
you can kind of, when you have to get to the episodes that we're doing at the moment, you actually have to go backwards. You have to start at December and go backwards to January, so you get little teasers of what's happening throughout the year, which I kind of already knew anyway. But from about May onwards, I'm like, oh baby, I want to talk about those episodes so much.
Can't wait to see Marcus Alexander Bagwell become buff.
Yeah, I want to see Buff.
Buff's the stuff, man.
Buff is the stuff. The real Sting, the super cool emo crow Sting that I love and you hate.
It's. I think. I will have difficulty pretending to hate Crow Sting.
You can't.
He's
too cool.
He's my childhood favorite wrestler. Yeah, I can't wait. I'm gonna dress as
he was
Crow
my
Sting.
favorite in WCW by a pretty long way. Although I did really like Wolfpack. I really liked Wolfpack a lot. It's so embarrassing, but I did. And Raven's Flock.
I can't wait to get to get into those. We got a couple of years to wait for those guys.
I think I'm gonna rescind my opinions on both of those factions, but we'll see.
Well, I
love them.
I suspect that Wolfpack is appropriating some stuff that is not gonna fly in 2020. But anyway, we'll get there. Well, it might be 2020. It'll be like 2023.
2022, 3, yeah. So it'll be even worse. It'll be even worse to.
I'll be recording.
We'll be even more woke by then.
Wrestle Wolf from the rafters. I'll be up there.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, we both do record in full Sting makeup. I don't know if we've mentioned that before.
I don't know.
But
well, by the time we get to the Wolfpack, Sting's contract with AEW will be up. Like, that's how long we've got to go.
That's actually true. And we'll have our own promotion by then. Our first signing will be Sting.
Yeah, it'll be Matt Kayfabe's professional wrestling promotion. And Davo can work for it and also fund it.
Okay. All right.
MKPW.
Look, it's a starting point. Let's
Great. Sounds like an agreement to me.
No bad ideas. We'll park those. And
there are bad ideas. Germany 1940s, bad ideas. Trump, some of that stuff going on, bad ideas. Never say that there's no bad ideas, because there are.
What about Wrestle Wolf Wrestling Federation? So it's the WWF.
No, I'm really, really going to need my name to be directly in the title. And I think the fans want that too.
What about Dr. Damien Gibson and Matthew Kayfabe present the WWF Variety Half Hour?
I'm certainly not being billed second. Anyway, we can discuss this in a courtroom, because I'm suing you.
Oh, what? On that bombshell. If you're enjoying this podcast, rate and review us so I can try and get some sponsors and pay for my defense against Matthew Kayfabe's millions of family dollars that'll inevitably be coming at me in this lawsuit to have him top billed, which I could just solve by have him top billed.
I will break myself to break you. I just want that to be very clear.
That's fair enough. That is completely fair enough. Let's completely tear down everything that we've built up over the last 10 months or so.
Agreed.
On billing. I think that makes complete sense. Anyway, if you're enjoying Matthew Kayfabe's Wrestle Wolf, make sure you tell your friends and rate and review it. You can follow us on the socials. Just Google us, my friends. You can find some of our episodes from some of our better episodes. I've decided to put some of our better episodes up on YouTube and not all of them, like the NWA ones I haven't put up on YouTube and stuff, because I want people to listen to the podcast channel. You know what I mean? Like, anyway, most of the stuff's on there. You can listen to us or watch us on YouTube. Well, you're not really watching us. You listen to it. Anyway, you know what I mean. You can write to us at Gmail. We're WrestleWolfPodcast@gmail.com, or you can check out our website, which people have actually been doing recently, which is nice. Cool. And that's the address for that is WrestleWolf.com.
If I can just quickly plug, if you go onto Spotify, you go to Billy Joel Artist Pick. You've got 47 songs, starts at Vienna and ends at Famous Last Words. Just chuck it on shuffle. Have a good one. See you later, brother friends.
I'd like to congratulate Icehouse for coming in number 14 in my top 50 songs of the year. Still got it, Ivor.
He just freezes every time. Anyway,
never forget, baby. Man of Colors. Still rocking it fucking 35 years later.
Check out Electric Blue if you haven't heard it already.
Or My Obsession. That's the song that I send to every girl I match with on Tinder. Anyway. On that note, Pepe is dead, brother friends. We'll see you next week.